I'm recording this from my room in the nursing home. Tomorrow I have a risky surgery on my hip, a complication from the stroke that brought me here. My 4 children don't know, because none of them have answered my calls in over 2 years. Not since the day I woke up in a hospital bed and they decided I was no longer their father, just a burden. My name is Arthur. I am 92 years old. I'm going to tell you how I raised 4 children, pouring every ounce of my strength, every dollar, every dream into them. And today, I'm a forgotten patient, counting the minutes until an operation that I might not wake up from, with no one to hold my hand. If you have parents, please listen to the end. It might save your family. The silence in this room is heavy tonight, a physical weight on my chest. It's a silence I've grown accustomed to over these past 2 years, ever since they wheeled me out of my own home, the home I built with my own hands, and into this sterile place. The doctors say the surgery is routine for someone my age, but my heart feels anything but routine. It's aching, not for the pain of the procedure, but for the absence of a familiar voice, a comforting touch. I keep looking at the phone on the nightstand, almost willing it to ring, to show me their names. John, my John, Sarah, my little Sarah, David, Emily, my children. My hands tremble, but it's not from Parkinson's. It's from longing for them to care. I still pay for John's health insurance, you know, even though he left me here. I still send a little money to Sarah's youngest, just to make sure they have enough for school. I tell the nurses I'm fine, always fine, so they don't bother them with my trivial needs. It's always I'm fine, even when my soul feels like it's shattering into a million pieces. But to understand how I got here, I need to go back to the days when we were happy. It's been 1,247 days since my son my John, last answered my phone. That's 3 years, 5 months and 7 days. But I remember when he used to call me my king, the smell of freshly baked apple pie filling our little kitchen, the boisterous laughter echoing around the huge oak table every Christmas Eve, all 4 of them piled together on the sofa, waiting for stories. Sarah, my little Sarah, always insisted on the dragon one. If you knew what I discovered at the end of this story, if you truly understood, maybe there would still be time for you not to make the same mistake my children did. I can almost feel the sawdust on my hands, the scent of fresh-cut pine from my old workshop. It wasn't just a job, it was my passion, the legacy I wanted to pass on. John, my eldest, he took to it like a duck to water. Even as a boy, his small hands, though clumsy, tried to mimic my movements. I remember the day he built his first birdhouse, lopsided and full of gaps, but to me it was a masterpiece. I kept it on the mantelpiece for years, a testament to his burgeoning talent. He had that spark, that drive. Every summer he'd spend hours by my side learning the grain of the wood, the whisper of the plains, the roar of the saw. We built cabinets, tables, even helped neighbors with their porches. We were partners, 2 men against the world, connected by wood and sweat and a silent understanding. I taught him everything I knew, every trick, every shortcut, every safety measure. I poured my life into that boy, not just my knowledge, but my very essence. He was going to take over the business, Arthur's Custom Woodwork, a name I'd etched into countless pieces of furniture and, I thought, into the future. Sarah, she was different, my little artist. While John was covered in sawdust, Sarah would be covered in paint. She'd sit for hours by the window sketching the garden, the passing clouds, even my worn-out work boots. Her drawings, pinned haphazardly to the fridge, were bursts of color and imagination. I wasn't much of an artist myself, but I saved every single one. I still have a shoebox under my bed full of her childhood masterpieces. Sometimes, when the silence here is too much, I open it and trace the faded lines of a house she drew for me, a house with a huge welcoming door and a crooked chimney. She used to say, "This is our house, Daddy, where we'll always be together." Her laughter was like wind chimes, light and clear. We'd walk in the park, and she'd point out the shades of green, the patterns in the bark. She taught me to see the beauty in things I'd always taken for granted. Wait, I haven't told you the part that makes me cry every night yet. David, my wild one. He was all energy, a whirlwind of scraped knees and triumphant yells. Football, baseball, running through the fields behind our house. He was never still. I remember one summer, he broke his arm trying to climb the old oak tree, and I carried him all the way home, his little face streaked with tears and dirt, but a grin still tugging at his lips. He was resilient, my David. He wasn't afraid of anything. I spent countless evenings in the backyard, throwing a worn-out baseball with him, listening to his dreams of becoming a professional athlete. I built him a makeshift goalpost out of old lumber, and we spent hours practicing, me pretending to be the opponent, him scoring imaginary winning goals. The sheer joy on his face when he made a good shot, that's a memory that shines even now, in the dim light of this lonely room. I felt so proud watching him grow, seeing the passion burn in his eyes. And Emily, my youngest, my thoughtful one, she was the quiet observer, the one who read books by flashlight under her covers, who asked the deepest questions. She had a gentle soul, a wisdom beyond her years. She was always the one who'd notice if I was tired, who'd bring me a glass of water without being asked, who'd quietly massage my shoulders after a long day in the workshop. I remember her sitting on my lap, her tiny fingers tracing the lines on my calloused hands, asking about every scar, every story etched onto my skin. She understood things without me having to say a word. She was the glue, the peacemaker, the one who always knew how to make everyone feel better. Her hugs were the warmest. Her whispered, "I love you, Daddy," the most precious sound. I used to tell her she'd make a wonderful teacher or a doctor, someone who helped people. She had that natural empathy, that gentle touch. We weren't rich, not by any means, but we had something money couldn't buy: each other. Our house, the one I built with my own hands, was always full of life, of laughter, of the comforting chaos that comes with raising 4 vibrant children. Sundays were sacred. After church, we'd pile into the old station wagon, sometimes for a picnic by the lake, other times just for a drive, singing along to the radio. Those were the days. Days when my heart felt so full it could burst. Days when I truly believed that the love we shared was an unbreakable bond, a fortress against anything life could throw at us. I gave them everything, every penny I earned, every ounce of strength I had, every dream I dared to dream. I worked extra shifts, took on difficult projects, just to make sure they had the best education, the best opportunities. I wanted them to have more than I did, to live lives full of purpose and happiness. I sacrificed my own comfort, my own desires without a second thought, because their happiness was my happiness. I believed, truly believed, that I was building a future not just for them, but with them. A future where we would always be a family. Little did I know, the cracks were already starting to form, unseen, unheard, waiting for the perfect storm to tear it all apart. It didn't happen all at once. It was gradual, like a plant dying without water, fading day by day until all that's left is a brittle husk. The first sign, a barely perceptible crack in our fortress of family, came with John, my John. After I had that little fall, nothing serious, just a stumble in the workshop that left me a bit shaken, John started to pull away from the business. The calls grew shorter, his excuses longer. "Too much paperwork, Dad," he'd say, or "Clients are demanding, no time to visit the old man." The workshop, the one we built together, the smell of fresh-cut pine I poured my life into, became a place he only visited on weekends, then once a month, then never. He didn't reject me directly, not then. He rejected the wood, the tools, the legacy I thought we shared. It was like he was rejecting a part of me. He'd say he was modernizing, expanding, but I knew. I saw the glint in his eye, the ambition that overshadowed the warmth we once shared. He stopped bringing his own children to visit, my grandchildren. "They're busy with sports," he'd mumble, but I'd see pictures on social media of them at amusement parks, with new cars. My grandson, little Arthur, named after me, growing up without knowing the smell of sawdust, without hearing his grandpa's stories. I remember calling him one evening just to talk about a new type of timber I'd seen, something he would have loved in the old days. He answered, but his voice was flat, distracted. "Look, Dad, I'm really swamped right now. Can we talk later?" Later never came. That phone call, that was the day my pride in his business started turning into a dull ache in my chest. He was succeeding, but at what cost? At the cost of the very hands that had taught him, the heart that had bled for him. Then came the stroke. A sudden, cruel thief that stole my words, my strength, my independence. I woke up in a sterile hospital bed, my right side heavy and unresponsive, my thoughts tangled. And there they were, John, Sarah, David, Emily, all 4 of them standing around my bed, their faces a mixture of concern and something else, something I couldn't quite place then. Relief, resignation. It was Sarah, my little Sarah, always the pragmatist, who spoke first. Her voice, usually so melodic, sounded brittle. "Dad, the doctors say you need constant care. Your house, it's not safe for you anymore." John nodded, solemn. We've looked into some options. A very good place, quiet with nurses around the clock. For your own good, Dad. My own good, was it for my good or theirs? My heart hammered in my chest, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. I tried to protest, to form the words, but they came out garbled, unintelligible. Emily, my thoughtful one, she looked away, her eyes glistening, but she didn't object. David, my wild one, kept his hands shoved in his pockets, staring at the floor. No one asked what I wanted. No one offered to take me in even for a little while to help me recover in my own home. My home, the one I had built with my own 2 hands. The one where they had all grown up. The home that echoed with their childhood laughter. The scent of their mother's cooking. The scent of us. It was a sentence delivered with polite, hushed tones, but a sentence nonetheless. The nursing home wasn't a suggestion. It was an eviction notice. A subtle, insidious conflict. A silent agreement amongst them that I was now a burden, an obstacle to their adult lives. The day they moved me, I remember it with devastating clarity. It wasn't them who packed my life away. It was 2 men in blue uniforms, efficient and impersonal, who systematically emptied my rooms. My children were there, of course, but they hovered, directing, rather than participating. They told me they'd bring my things, the important ones. But I watched as they left behind Sarah's shoebox of drawings, the one she'd drawn our family house in, the one where we'd always be together. They left John's first lopsided birdhouse, the masterpiece I'd kept on the mantelpiece gathering dust. It was as if they were pruning my past, discarding the parts that didn't fit into their new streamlined narrative. My workshop, my sanctuary, was padlocked, its tools silent, gathering rust. I tried to reach for the small wooden train I'd carved for David when he was 5, but John gently steered my hand away. "We'll get it later, Dad. Don't worry about it now." But later never came. My memories, my treasures were deemed unimportant, irrelevant. I wasn't just leaving my home, I was leaving my history piece by piece, as if they were preparing me for a life without a past, a life without connection. The house, my house, felt like a stage set being dismantled around me, and I was just a prop being removed. The final insult, the deepest cut, came just before they left me at the nursing home. They wheeled me into the small, sterile room, with its single window looking out onto a manicured, unfamiliar lawn. John put a hand on my shoulder, a gesture devoid of warmth. "We'll be back soon, Dad. Just settling things at the house, you know. Lots to do." Sarah mumbled something about checking on the grandkids. Emily, my gentle Emily, tried to catch my eye, but her gaze darted away, unable to meet mine. David, as always, avoided eye contact completely. Their promises hung in the air, thin and transparent, like cobwebs destined to break. "We'll visit every Sunday, Daddy," Emily had whispered, her voice barely audible. "We'll call every night," John had said, already halfway out the door. Those were the last words of false comfort, the last vestiges of a family that was already gone. They left me there, a stranger in a strange room, with a bag containing a few changes of clothes and a hollow ache in my heart that pulsed with every breath. I heard their footsteps fading down the hall, the quiet click of the door closing behind them. That click was the sound of my life being sealed off, locking me in with only the silence for company. That was the last time I saw all 4 of them together, the last time I felt their presence, the last time I believed their lies. But what I found out later, that's what truly broke my heart into pieces. The days here bleed into one another, indistinguishable. The silence in my room, broken only by the hum of the air conditioner or the distant trolley wheels, has become my constant companion. I wake when the nurses come to check on me, a perfunctory touch, a whispered instruction. The sun rises outside my window, painting the same patch of wall a muted yellow, then fades. Breakfast is a bland mush, tasting of nothing but resignation. Lunch is the same. Dinner too. I push the food around my plate, pretending to eat, sometimes saving a biscuit or a piece of fruit. For whom? I don't know. Perhaps for the phantom visitor I still, against all reason, imagine might appear. My hands tremble, not just from age, but from the crushing weight of unspoken words, of unshared moments. I sit by the window, my back to the sterile room, and watch. I watch the clouds drift, the leaves turn from green to gold, then fall, mirroring the seasons of my own life. I see other families, a daughter carefully spoon-feeding her mother, wiping her chin with a gentle hand, a son laughing with his father, their heads close together over a chessboard, their grandchild, a tiny whirlwind of energy, showing off a crayon drawing. Each scene is a dagger to my heart, a stark reminder of what I had and what I lost. The coldness isn't just in the room, it's seeped into my bones, into my very soul. The loneliness is a physical presence, a heavy cloak I can never shed. I try to talk to the nurses, to tell them a story from my youth, a memory of my children, but their smiles are polite, their eyes distracted, always moving on to the next task. I understand, they are busy, but a word, a single moment of genuine connection would mean the world. Instead, the silence is so loud it hurts my ears. My days are a loop. Wake, eat, sit, sleep, repeat. There's no purpose, no project, no one to share a quiet joke with. My workshop, the smell of fresh pine, the sawdust on my hands, it all feels like a dream from another lifetime. I try to remember the faces of my grandchildren. Little Arthur, Sarah's children, Emily's twin girls, David's son, but the images are fading, like old photographs left in the sun. It's been so long since I've heard their laughter, felt their tiny arms around my neck. I sometimes talk to the empty chair across from my bed, pretending one of them is there, listening to my stories, asking about my day. It's a foolish habit, I know, but it keeps the crushing weight of reality at bay, if only for a few precious moments. If you think what you've heard so far is sad, prepare yourself. A few months after I arrived, still grappling with the unfamiliar routine, still struggling to form coherent sentences, I started physical therapy. It was grueling, painful, but I clung to the hope that if I could recover, if I could show them I wasn't a burden, they might take me home. One afternoon during a session in the common room, a small space with uncomfortable chairs and a television that played endless reruns, I was resting, trying to regain my breath. My speech therapist, a kind young woman named Clara, had just stepped away to talk to another resident. I was sitting near the nurse's station, partially obscured by a large potted plant, still invisible even when I was right there. That's when I heard it, a voice, loud and familiar, echoing down the hall. John. My John. He was talking on his phone, his voice jovial, almost boasting. Yeah, just leaving Dad's place now, long visit. He's doing fine, you know, old but tough. Still tells the same stories, bless his heart. He laughed, a deep, easy laugh. The old man loves it when I pop by. Says it brightens his whole week. Got to look after family, right? My blood ran cold. My breath hitched in my throat. I hadn't seen John, hadn't heard his voice in person since the day they left me here. Long visit? He hadn't popped by. He hadn't visited, not once. Not for a single minute. The words felt like blows, each one landing squarely on my chest. He was talking to someone, a business associate perhaps, painting a picture of a dutiful son, a loving family man. The lie was so casual, so effortless, so utterly devastating. I wanted to stand up, to shout, to confront him, to ask him how he could lie so easily, so convincingly, to ask him if he even remembered me, the man who taught him to work with wood, the man who built his future. But my body wouldn't obey. My throat felt like it was closing. My words caught somewhere between my heart and my lips. I just sat there, frozen, listening to him continue his charade. Always make time for family, he was saying, as if he lived by those words. He walked past my plant, still on the phone, still smiling, completely oblivious to the shattered man sitting just a few feet away. He didn't even glance into the common room. My grandson, my little Arthur, doesn't even know my name. He only knows the lie his father feeds him. The pain was so sharp, so unexpected, it felt worse than the stroke itself. It wasn't just abandonment, it was active erasure. Later that evening, the lie gnawed at me. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, picturing John's smiling face as he spun his tale of filial devotion. It wasn't just to some stranger. He was lying to himself, to his family, perhaps even to his own children. He was living a life based on a falsehood, built on the crumbling foundation of my forgotten existence. It hit me then, with the force of a physical blow. I wasn't just forgotten. I was a useful prop in his carefully constructed image. My presence here, the nursing home dad, was a convenient narrative for him to trot out when it suited him, a way to signal his supposed virtue without actually expending any effort or love. He was using my pain, my isolation, to make himself look good. That night, alone in my silent room, the surgical hip complication already an ache in my joint, the stark reality of my situation finally settled in. It wasn't just that they hadn't visited, it was that they had built their new lives on a foundation of denying my existence, of actively fabricating a reality where I was cared for, where I was remembered. I remembered working extra shifts, skipping meals, just to put them through school, to give them the opportunities I never had. I remembered the pride in my chest when John graduated, when Sarah got her first art scholarship, when David scored the winning goal, when Emily decided to pursue nursing, always caring for others. I poured my life into them, every drop, every dream. And today I was a convenient lie. And it was at that moment that I started to wonder, where did I go wrong? I spent months asking myself, where did I go wrong? Where did I falter in teaching them empathy, in showing them the value of family over fleeting possessions? I replayed every memory, every conversation, searching for the moment I sowed the seed of greed, the instant I failed to instill the values that had guided my own life. Was I too lenient? Too harsh? Did I give them too much, or not enough of what truly mattered? The questions echoed in the cavern of my silent room, each one a fresh lash on my already wounded soul. I believed I had given them everything a father could: my time, my wisdom, my unwavering love, and a home built with my own hands that was supposed to be their inheritance, their future, until a letter, a single envelope, changed the question from where did I go wrong to what have they become? It arrived about 6 months ago, a plain white envelope addressed to me at the nursing home. It wasn't a birthday card, nor a holiday greeting. It bore the insignia of a law firm I didn't recognize. My hands, still unsteady, tore it open with a mixture of confusion and a faint, foolish flicker of hope. Perhaps it was a mistake, a letter meant for someone else. But as I read the crisp, formal language, my heart dropped like a stone to the bottom of a well. It was a notice regarding the sale of my property. Not just the house, but the entire lot, including the workshop. The workshop, the heart and soul of my life, the place where John and I had spent countless hours, building dreams alongside furniture. It had been sold, not by me, not with my consent, but by the current property administrators, a title that chilled me to the bone. My children, they had sold it, without a word, without a single call. The letter detailed the date of sale, the price, and the distribution of funds. A significant portion, it stated, had gone to cover ongoing care costs and property maintenance. The rest, it implied, had been divided amongst my 4 children. It wasn't about the money. I never cared for money beyond what it could provide for my family. It was about the betrayal, the utter disregard for my wishes, for my legacy, for the very essence of who I was. The house, my home, was supposed to be a sanctuary, a place where memories lived, a foundation for their future. The workshop was meant for John, a torch to be passed, a craft to be continued, but they had sold it all, reduced my life's work to a mere transaction. My tools, my materials, the scent of fresh-cut pine, all gone, swept away by their avarice. This wasn't what I wanted for them, not this cold, calculating ambition that would sacrifice their own father's history for a quick profit. My vision blurred, not from tears, but from the searing pain of disappointment. I didn't feel anger, not really, just an overwhelming sorrow for what they had become. I remembered John's earnest face, promising to learn every curve of the wood, to carry on the family name. Sarah's dream of the perfect garden, painted on the walls of her childhood room, now raised for profit. David's endless energy, meant for building, not for tearing down. Emily's gentle empathy, now seemingly evaporated into thin air. They were once children full of promise, full of heart. Now they were strangers, their hands stained not with sawdust or paint, but with the dust of my destroyed past. They had not merely abandoned me, they had erased me. They had taken the very ground I stood on, literally and figuratively. They had stolen not just my property, but the narrative of my life, twisting it into something unrecognizable, something cheap and transactional. It was a wound that cut deeper than any physical ailment, deeper than the lingering weakness from my stroke. It was a wound to my very soul. What I'm about to reveal explains everything, and it will break your heart. The notice had an attachment, an itemized list of what they claimed were necessary expenses from the proceeds of the sale. Buried deep within the cold, bureaucratic jargon, I found an entry: renovation and furnishings for Arthur Jr.'s new apartment. My grandson, little Arthur, John's son, named after me. The same grandson I saw pictures of on social media, living a life of apparent luxury, his father's boastful posts detailing his success. So my home, my workshop, the legacy I tried to build for John and his family, was now funding a lavish lifestyle for a grandchild who didn't even know my name, who was being raised on a foundation of lies and forgotten promises. And then another entry, a sum specifically allocated to Sarah's art studio expansion. My little artist, whose childhood drawings I still cherished, whose dreams I had always encouraged. Her art studio, bought with the very walls of the house where she had first discovered her talent. The irony was a bitter taste in my mouth, acrid and suffocating. It became clear then, this wasn't about my care, it wasn't about their concern for my well-being. It was about extracting every last material asset from my life, polishing it up and redistributing it for their own gain, their own perceived needs, their own selfish desires. My home, my history, my very existence had become a bank account for their convenience. They hadn't just put me in this nursing home to get me out of the way. They had done it to gain control over my assets, to liquidate my past for their future. My heart, already so fragile, fractured further. The image of John boasting about his long visit flashed before my eyes again, now infused with a new, horrifying clarity. He wasn't just lying. He was profiting from his own lie, building his reputation and his son's comfort on the ashes of his father's life. He was a fraud, and I, his father, was the unwitting accomplice in his deception. I didn't confront them. What was the point? My words were still clumsy, my voice weak. And even if they weren't, what truth could I speak that would penetrate such hardened hearts? They had already made their choice, cast their die. Instead, I carefully folded the letter, creasing the precise lines of their betrayal. I tucked it away in the shoebox under my bed, not with Sarah's drawings, but beneath them, a silent testament to the devastating truth. It was a secret I would keep, a burden I would carry alone, just like all the others. This letter, this official document of my dispossession, became my new most treasured possession, not because it represented money or property, but because it represented clarity. It stripped away all illusions, all lingering doubt. I wasn't just old and frail. I was a resource, a means to an end. That night, as the nursing home slept, I found a worn, leather-bound journal that my wife had given me many years ago. It had been meant for recording joyful memories, family anecdotes. It was empty. I took a pen, my hand trembling slightly, and began to write. Not about my pain, not about their cruelty, but about my truth. I wrote about the workshop, the smell of pine, the laughter of children. I wrote about the unwavering love I had poured into them. And then I wrote about the letter, the notice of sale, the ultimate betrayal. I wasn't writing for them. I was writing for myself, to ensure that my memories, my story, would not be completely erased, not by their lies, nor by the silence of this sterile room. I also wrote about how I planned to use what little I had left, not to punish, but to teach, to offer a different kind of legacy, one based on true generosity, not on stolen wealth. With this truth in my hands, there's only one thing left for me to say before the end. And now. The message that could change the life of whoever is watching. If you're watching this, if while you're lucky enough to still have your parents, your father or mother, please, I beg you, listen to an old man who sits here tonight, staring at a phone that will never ring and contemplates a surgery he might not wake up from. One day you will be here, maybe not in this room, but in this feeling, staring at nothing, waiting for a visit, a call, a sign of love that never comes. The silence will not just be in the air, it will be in your soul, deafening, crushing. I want you to remember this moment, this voice, before that silence becomes yours. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes of your day. That's all it would take to make a difference. A quick call. How are you, Dad? A picture of my grandson, my little Arthur, on his birthday. An unexpected, I love you, Daddy. It would be like a sudden burst of sunshine in this perpetual twilight that has become my life. It would be like winning the lottery, not of money, but of life itself. A reminder that I am still seen, still cared for, still loved. The nurses here are kind. They do their jobs well, but their kindness is not the warmth of family. It's not the hand of your own child holding yours, the one you changed, the one you taught to tie their shoes. That warmth, that is all I crave. When you reach my age, when your body is failing, and your memories are your only true companions, you realize that money, success, all those fleeting things, they mean nothing. What truly matters are the hands that hold yours, the voices that remember your stories, the warmth of a family gathered. The only inheritance worth leaving, the only one worth receiving, is love and memories, rich memories of shared laughter, of quiet understanding, of simply being together. My children, My John, my Sarah, my David, my Emily, they chase wealth, they hoard possessions, but they have unknowingly squandered the greatest treasure, the precious, irreplaceable gift of time with their own father. Don't leave it for later. Oh, how many times have I heard later? I'll visit later. I'll call later. Later might be too late. For me, tomorrow might be too late. This surgery on my hip, it's a roll of the dice. But even if I wake up, how much later do I have left? How many more sunsets will I watch alone? Hug your parents. Tell them you love them. Today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Let them feel your love, hear your voice, see your face. Because one day you might look back and realize that later stole your last chance. I told you I was writing in my journal. I wasn't just writing my memories. I was writing my final wishes. My children, my John, my Sarah, my David, my Emily. They took everything I built, everything I gave, and turned it into a transaction. They sold my home, the workshop, for their own benefit, funding luxuries for a grandson who doesn't know my name. They thought they had everything, that they had taken all that was left to take. But I still have one thing they didn't know about, a small insurance policy, a few investments I kept separate for a rainy day, for my future, for a legacy that wouldn't be bought and sold. And I've written a new will. It's carefully worded, precise. It ensures that not a single penny of what I truly built, what I truly earned, will go to them, not after what they did, not after they sold my life for their comfort. Instead, it goes to Clara, my kind speech therapist, to the nurses who brought me an extra blanket on cold nights, who listened when no one else would, to the local orphanage, so other children can have a chance at a real family, real love, a real home, a future built on compassion, not avarice. It's not out of anger, my dear friends. It's out of a desperate hope that they might one day understand the true value of what they discarded, that they might learn that love is not a commodity to be traded, but a gift to be cherished, a bond to be nurtured. Tomorrow, I go into surgery. I don't know if I'll open my eyes again. But even now, after all they've done, after all the pain, I still have hope. A tiny, foolish spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, one of them will remember, that one of them will realize. I still have hope of seeing my son, my daughter, just one of them, one last time. Is that too much to ask? To hold a hand? To hear a real, "I love you, Daddy"? Is that too much to ask before I close my eyes forever? This was the story of Arthur, a 92-year-old father, one among millions of abandoned elderly people whose silent suffering often goes unseen. He poured his life, his love, his every dream into his children, only to be left in a sterile room, counting the days until a surgery he might not survive, with no one to hold his hand. His story, a testament to devastating betrayal and profound loneliness, serves as a stark mirror reflecting a painful truth about our society. Arthur's greatest desire was not for wealth, but for the simple warmth of a loving touch, a remembered voice. If this story touched your heart, if you felt even a fraction of Arthur's pain, then don't put off that call, that visit, until tomorrow. Think of the silence in his room, the unanswered phone calls, the fabricated stories his son told. Your parents, your grandparents, are not just figures from your past. They are living beings craving connection, yearning for the love they poured into you. Every second spent apart is a second that can never be reclaimed. Time doesn't go back, and regret, as Arthur understands all too well, is the only feeling that has no cure, a wound that festers endlessly. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, someone who might be caught in the hustle of life, forgetting the most precious bonds. Let Arthur's plea resonate, and if you have elderly parents, if you are blessed with their presence, hug them for me. Hug them while you still can, with all the warmth and gratitude in your heart. Hug them for Arthur, who, even in his final moments of uncertainty, still clung to the faint hope of one last loving embrace. Let your hug be his hug, a beacon against the crushing darkness of loneliness. Subscribe to the Portraits of Life Soul Pain channel for more stories that remind us of what truly matters, the unwavering power of family, empathy, and the enduring human need for love. Don't let their stories and the lessons they teach fade into silence.